Hi, I'm Steve, and this is a Good Time Garage. And if you saw my last video, which about 5 of you did, I was talking about my 1972 Plymouth Duster and all the work I was about to do to it. Well, I've done a lot of work to it. I didn't record it. But all that work is done. I'm going to show you a little bit about that. We're going to talk about another project we've started. So here's the car. And since the last video, we've fixed up the rear suspension, we've added a new carburetor, and dressed up the motor a little bit, and we've also added QA1 upper control arms to it. Really, this car is ready to rock and roll. The only thing it's needing is an alignment, which local alignment shops won't take because they don't do classics, so we're going to have to figure that out. But most of this video is going to be talking about our new project, my new project. And I bought this car a few months ago from a friend, and here it is. It is a 1971 or 1970 Plymouth Duster. And as you can see, don't look too bad. Pretty solid. I bought this car from a friend of mine who bought it, and move everything out of the way. And he bought it, had it for a few years, didn't do anything with it. Years down the road, I asked him about it, and he was ready to sell it. He moved out of state, was doing some work, needed to get rid of the car, so I bought it. So, like I said, it's a 70 Duster. It's pretty solid. Got good solid floors in it. It's got a dash in it. That's about it. Had nothing else. This car didn't even have a doghouse on it. When I say doghouse, I mean, I'm not talking about hood and fenders. I'm talking about it didn't have any of the inner structure. Inner fenders, core support. So I cut it all off. So I'm going to show you what I've done and ultimately show you that you can do this on a budget. I've been doing this on a budget. I'm going to show you how to do this on a budget, how to build a project car from scratch as a typical guy. When I say typical guy, meaning I work 40-hour a week. I have a wife who is a stay-at-home mom, and I got 2 kids under the age of 4. So we don't have a whole lot of disposable income. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to fulfill your dream, on a budget. And things you can do to maybe not build a show car, but build a car. So first off, this whole inner fender area and core support didn't even exist. It didn't even have it. And I got all of this sheet metal from a friend of mine off of a Dart for about $75. Now granted, it was rough, it was rusty, but with a little bit of work I was able to get it grafted onto this car, no problem. Sure, it ain't as pretty as brand new sheet metal, but it also saved me about $600. So, with a little extra work, you can make this stuff happen. Right now, I'm working on the front suspension. Now, when you look at a car like this that doesn't have an engine, it doesn't have a transmission, it needs a rear end, it don't have any wiring in it, it don't have interior in it, it is easy to get overwhelmed. It is easy to be like, man, where do I even start? I don't even know where to begin. Well, the answer is simple. You start with what it needs the most. and you just focus on that. It's easy to get overwhelmed, and the one thing that I say you don't want to do is you don't want to blast the car all apart. Even if there ain't much there, you don't want to blast the car all the way down to a bare shell, because that's where project cars go to die. You don't want to strip all the glass out, rip the interior out, rip everything apart, because I know from experience it's easy when you say, man, this car needs everything and I don't have any money and I don't know where to begin, so I'm just going to tear it all apart. Well, then, you know, because taking a car apart don't cost nothing, right? Well, then you get this car down to a bare shell, and then you're really overwhelmed. Really extremely overwhelmed. I didn't do that with this car. Took what I had, and I built on from there. The idea of this car, the 70, is just going to be kind of a beater driver. It's not going to be fast. It ain't going to corner. Nothing. I'm going to put a stock small block in it, and I'm just going to drive it. I'm probably not even going to paint it right now. Right now, I'm just going to slap it together and drive it. But as I go, the things that's missing, I am going to rebuild on a budget. So first thing it needed was that whole inner structure. Inner fenders, core support, you know. So that was all I focused on. And like I said, I got all this out of a 68 Dart, and it's not perfect. It had some rust holes, which I patched. I would point them out, but if you can't tell, I ain't gonna tell you. These areas, you know, patched them all up, got everything welded in. As you can see, it's still got some pitting. So I used this, it was kind of a bedliner paint. It's got a nice texture to it. Covers up a lot of the imperfections real well. I really like it. So I used that. So now, long story short, we have a solid car. A solid car, and after this point, it's kind of like Legos. This whole thing is just going to bolt together. So, fortunately, this car did come with torsion bars and a K-frame, upper and lower control arms. So the whole suspension, everything I was going to reuse, got sandblasted and painted. And when I say painted, it got spray painted. Nice glossy black paint. And for bushings, tie rod ends, ball joints, and all that stuff, you can buy these kits online for about 250 bucks. And that's what I did. 250 bucks, and I'm bolting the front end back together. And earlier I was talking about sandblasting. What I used to sandblast all this was one of them $30 Harbor Freight sandblasters. So, I mean, you really don't have to spend a lot of money to do this. Now, currently, right now, I am bolting on the front suspension. I'm going to tell you a little bit about suspension upgrades for this thing on a budget. So, rebuilt, put new bushings in the lower control arms, new bushings on the strut rods, cleaned them up, painted them. Same with torsion bars. But if you want to do a disc brake swap, you're going to need 1973 and up and newer upper control arms. And the idea behind doing a disc brake swap is to get the bigger ball, the bigger ball joint and the bigger bolt pattern. 1970 to 72 Dusters had a small bolt pattern. It was a 4-inch on 5 bolt pattern. It's real hard to find wheels for, but 73 and newer had 4.5-inch on 5 bolt pattern, and real common wheels selection for that. You can get a set of wheels off of a Jeep Cherokee, a Ford Ranger, other Mopars, buy anything. And then the aftermarket really supports that. So it's real common to do a disc brake swap to a bigger bolt pattern on these cars. To do that, you need the upper control arm right here, that thing. And the difference is it has this bigger ball joint. So you need this bigger ball joint to accept the knuckle, because you also need the steering knuckle from a newer car, 73 and up. You can get the upper control arm from any 73 and newer A body. Dart, Valiant, Duster. But you don't need to change your lower control arm. It'll be the same. So you can keep that. So that's what we did. We kept that. We swapped out the upper control arm, which fortunately I had laying around because I've had a lot of these cars. But as far as our steering knuckle, I haven't bought one yet. I haven't bought a set for disc brake from a 73 and newer Mopar. You can use just about anything. Use one from an A body, Duster, Dart, Valiant. You can use one from a F body, late 70s. In fact, this car, those are off of a 76 Roadrunner. The spindles. You can use some B body ones or even E body. So you got a wide range to choose from. The geometry is different, but you can use them. You can use them. Well, for now, stand back, looking at this car. As we're building the suspension, and like I said, not focusing on the wiring, not focusing on the motor, not focusing on all the crap it needs. Next thing it needs to roll. It needs to get on the ground and roll. So that's our goal tonight. Make this thing roll. Have the front end to where I could throw a set of wheels on it and roll it out of the shop, out of my way. So, like I said, I don't have spindles for the front. But what I do have is a set of drum brake spindles with the big bolt pattern and the big ball joint. So we're going to go get those. They're outside. So I'm going to grab some handy dandy tools and we're going to get those. Got a cordless impact, a BFH, some sockets. We're going to do that. Also, it is about 30 degrees outside and about midnight. So hopefully it won't wake the neighbor up. And if we do, I don't care. Door open. Like any good Mopar guy, daggone it, you gotta have a good part stash. Now these oh, right here, there they are. So we're robbing these parts off of a K-member that I had gotten about a year ago from a friend. And I have no idea what it's out of. But it's got the spindles we need. Big bolt pattern, drum brake, big ball joint. So we're going to use these, slap them on the car for now, to use just to roll that thing around until we find our disc brake spindles. So I'm going to try to take these off real quick. And take our rusty old cotter pin off there. Probably just break it off and just shear it off with the nut. We want to save that nut, put that in the pocket. All right. Now, we're going to need to undo this tie rod end too. I didn't bring a socket for that, so I'll be right back. It is cold outside, so if you get a better look at what we're dealing with, took that lower ball joint nut off. I'm going to take our outer tie rod end nut off, and we'll have that side off, and then we can do the same to the other side. So that's what we're doing. Now, I haven't been posting videos. I haven't even been recording because, to be quite honest, I'm not any good at this stuff. The camera and the editing and whatnot. But I said, screw it. You want to do it anyways. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. Our 3/4 socket I left on the floor, which is not the place for it to be. Okay. Beautiful cold night in Indiana. Like I said, I always try to keep, part of doing all this stuff on a budget is getting stuff when you can that you might need, such as these two old K members. These were given to me. Somebody had them, they didn't want them, I got them for free, and they have turned out to be lifesavers. Getting hardware off of them, nuts and bolts, bolts for the steering box, castle nuts for lower ball joints that don't come with new ball joints usually, things like that. And getting things like these stupid spindles. Granted, we're not going to drive on them, but right now we can use them to get our project rolling around. So, try to get this cotter pin out. That's usually the hardest part. installed. Trying to do all this one-handed. I'm usually not this sloppy. At least that's what I tell myself. Okay. You'll just separate that. Give that a good whack right there. This thing is a complete K-member, so it's real heavy. All right, bear with me for a second. Get that kind of supported up so I can really whack on this thing. And voila, one down. Ugh. I'm gonna do the other side. Alright, same thing as the other side. Can't see a daggone thing out here in the yard. But that's okay. Done this enough, can practically do it by feel. Like a sixth sense. Like Bruce Willis in that movie, but with rusty Mopars. Actually, I pulled that one out. Okay. Save that nut. Now we'll take our lower ball joint off. Save that. All right. Where'd my hammer go? That's being stubborn. This is completely aggravating. And again, I'm beating the absolute crap out of this because we're not actually going to drive on it. So for all the YouTube experts out there wanting to run your mouth, there you go. Like I said, we're not going to drive on this crap, so after I get the right stuff, it's probably going in the scrap. Now, I don't know how to edit videos, so I'm just gonna have to, I don't know how to pause videos and edit and all that crap, so I'm just gonna drag all this stuff in one at a time. I ran into my stack of tires. Pick up our tools before the raccoons steal them. All right. Phew. That was a little more involved than I want it to be. Got deer running around the yard. It's hunting season. So that means the deer are all in my front yard, because I know I don't hunt. Not that I don't want to. I got too many daggone rusty Mopars to fix before I have any time to go hunting. So, throw the garage door open. Drag this crap in here. Hopefully get mounted soon. Now, like I said, I have no idea what this K-member is out of. But I do know it's a bigger ball joint and it is a bigger wheel bolt pattern. So for all intended purposes, it'll work. Now you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this stuff I'm trying to convey here. Not everything has to be, garage door going down, not everything has to be a high dollar build. Whew, I knocked the wind out. It is cold outside. Getting a beverage. All right, now we're back in our warm and toasty shop. We're going to separate this ball joint nut, this upper control arm, from the knuckle. This is the steering knuckle. This is your lower ball joint bolted on. And then this big heavy piece of junk is the drum brake. Oh. And look at there, it's even got two studs broke off. That one looks a little better. This is just gonna make it a roller. But hopefully soon, sometime this winter, I'll make my way to a junkyard or Facebook Marketplace or one of my buddies, one of my Mopar buddies, talking to you guys, will come up with some drum disc brake spindles for me to purchase. So I'm going to separate this and we're going to throw it on there real quick. Hopefully have wheels and tires on the front of this thing here very shortly. So I'm going to set the camera up. Oh, camera, the phone. Get everything out. Alright. Save that. Never know when you'll need it. This ball joint's shot anyways. Do a few whacks. Voila. Well, there's an intense glare from my lights. I don't know what to do to fix it. Deal with it. So. Now this lower ball joint is shot, but it'll be good enough to make it roll. We got our castle nut that we saved and reused, repurposed. You know, we recycled it. That ain't gonna work. We're going. I tore up the threads on that ball joint because I'm a loser. So, probably gonna have to switch out. Go ahead and bolt my new ball joint on temporarily to this spindle. No big deal. Luckily, we've got it. If I keep this stupid thing rolling, it's like working on a bowling ball. All right, something ain't right. That ain't loosening. All right, well, that was an epic failure. I'm gonna have to stop this video. I'm gonna have to do some finagling. But the key is you can do this on a budget with very little money. Personally, what I do is I just save like $50 every 2 weeks. $25 a week is what I put back to go towards these projects. That's not a lot. You wouldn't even miss it. Most of you wouldn't. spend more on that than socks and underwear, or McDonald's, or Starbucks. Or if you're a smoker, you're going to spend more on that than cigarettes. So quit smoking, and you can fund a Mopar project. So all this can be done on a budget, piece by piece. Takes a few weeks, and you got to do a lot of extra bull crap dealing with these rusty parts, but you can make it happen. That's doing it on a budget. So hopefully very soon this thing will be on all fours, rolling around, and then we can focus on getting an engine, getting a transmission, getting a drive shaft. Then worry about wiring, getting the car wired, getting our cooling system. And last but not least, the last thing we're going to worry about is sheet metal and interior, which I have some junkyard seats and I got some junkyard fenders. I mean, look at this fender. This is one of my fenders. I mean, it's crap. This other fender is also crap. But guess what? It's a fender. We can bolt it on to look like a complete car, and then later down the road, when we find better fenders, when we find better sheet metal, when we find better interior, then you can put it together. But once you get the car rolling and you get it running, then it kind of snowballs from there. It picks up steam. When you get these big things done, like getting the car on all fours, it's a big confidence booster, and it's a lot easier to work with. I can roll it out of the shop, have space to assemble engine or whatever I want to do, and roll it back in when I get more parts. So don't give up just because, you know, money's tight, especially during COVID. You can still do this stuff on a budget. You got to scour the junkyards. You got to put in the legwork. A lot of extra work to do it on a budget. Put in the legwork, hunt around, you know, scour marketplace, hit up all your buddies, hit up junkyards. You can build it. You can do it. You can make this dream come true. So I've done that with my 72, my kind of ratty street machine, 70 street machine. And I'm currently doing it with my 70 Duster. It's going to be my daily driver. This is going to be my car to drive to work every day and haul my kids to preschool and whatnot. So you can do it. Have a good one. Hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to see more in-depth pictures on everything I've done sheet metal wise on this car, look at my Instagram. It's Steve's Good Time Garage on the Instagram. So instagram.com or whatever it is. So go over there, follow me. If you don't, I don't care. Just look at the pictures and see what I've done, all the patch panels I've made, everything I went through, stripping this frame rail and grafting this front end off of a Dart on here, which is the same as a Duster, but grafting this whole other front end on here to make it work. And like I said, this whole front end sheet metal, I have about $100 in it. I gave $75 for all the sheet metal, and about another $25 in sandpaper and spray paint. So, you know, for the sheet metal, for those of you number cruncher mathematician people, that's 3/4 of $100 bill. And then the suspension, this is all reused, used crap people didn't want, and what was left on the car. I sandblasted it, rattle canned it, and then spent about $240 on all new ball joints and bushings and everything. So not a whole lot of money compared to what it would cost to you know, you don't have to spend a lot of money doing this. So anyway, if you like my videos, like it, subscribe it. If you don't like it, I don't care.